Hello and welcome to your award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week through news and headlines ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel, and your other host this week is from Lazy Gaming Guys. Just in time for Pride Month, it is Julian. Welcome back, Julian.
Hello, everybody, and happy Pride.
That's right. It's almost over, but that doesn't mean we have to stop celebrating. We're celebrating with you, the rest of LGG, the Lazy Gaming Guys streamers. But first, if this is your very first episode of the show, the way we format it is we go through this week's news, and then we end it with the Brokehead Block, which is the more personal side of the show, what Julian and I have been up to since you last heard us. So let's jump right in and explore sector number 570. So kicking things off with some Microsoft news, as they have assured subscribers that there won't be an immediate price increase for the already excellent value Xbox Game Pass, despite their acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So they did emphasize their commitment to not raising prices due to this merger, aiming to the benefit of consumers by offering new gaming options. So in their defense against the impartial FTC, Microsoft stated, quote, "The acquisition would benefit consumers by making Call of Duty available on Microsoft's Game Pass on the day it is released on console, with no price increase for the service based on the acquisition, on Nintendo and on other services that would allow cloud streaming," end quote. So while there is a possibility of adjustments in the future, Microsoft's financial strength allows them to honor this pledge for the time being. Honestly, I thought we were going to already by now get that price increase on Game Pass, because I think it's $15 a month. That shit is easily worth $25, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye if they would raise that price, because it's already an excellent value.
Yeah, it's a decent value for what we're getting, which is a lot. I can't even not say that I don't use it on PC sometimes whenever I'm bored looking at it, because paying for Discord gets me a lot of free Game Passes.
Oh no shit! They give out like free months or something.
Yeah, sometimes they give out free months and like the gift rewards for you subbing for so long.
Oh shit!
So
man. Good on Discord. I've always liked Discord.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I had it when I had my Xbox, and then I got back onto it, and I got back onto it with the PC Pass, and I looked into a couple games for things. I haven't really found anything that I'm like willing to stream per se that I have faith my computer can handle. But apparently I've been told my computer can handle more than I was just thinking about it. I told them it's a memory issue, everybody. But other than that, them acquiring Activision Blizzard, maybe they'll actually fix some of the problems that company has. Being the worst.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that, especially on these Facebook groups, I'm seeing people are like, things aren't going to change at Activision Blizzard. And it's like, have you seen any major acquisition ever in the history of business? Have you worked at a place where a new management takes over? Most of the time, they end up cleaning house, especially they get rid of the managers or the managing team. Sometimes they'll clear house completely. I worked at an IHOP, and they cleared out every staff member, including myself, except for one. He ended up quitting shortly after that. And this is just the business. A lot of places like to take over, put in their own people, which they have more confidence in, people that they've been working with for years. And yeah, they're going to clean house. I think they've already gotten rid of some of the bigger players at Activision Blizzard. When the acquisition fully moves forward, there will be further cuts. And I think a lot of the toxicity that was at Activision Blizzard will be replaced instead by reliable Microsoft employees.
Suddenly, I don't think anything's going to happen to Bobby Kotick.
Oh, is he the head guy?
Yeah, the head of Activision Blizzard just is like, no. It's like he makes way too much money for doing nothing.
Well, I'm excited to get Game Pass probably late this year. I know some brokeheads have heard that I'm finally going to upgrade to either a Series S or a Series X, depending on what kind of holiday deals they have, especially around Black Friday. I probably won't jump onto that 1 terabyte S right away because that comes out, I want to say in September. And that's close enough to Black Friday where it's like, look, at the very least, if I wait, I can probably get it through a Target or another retailer. Well, they'll throw in like a free year of Game Pass or a free 3 months or whatever it is. And that way I save a little bit of money on that end. And there's plenty of games that Leo could play there on Xbox, especially on Game Pass. He really likes Minecraft, and then I could finally play the old Halo games that I missed out on for all those years during high school.
Wait, Nani, which one? Wait, whoa, hold up. You haven't played. Which ones did you miss?
I've never played a Halo game. Much to your surprise, I've never owned an Xbox.
Yeah, even I've played awful at it. I played through one. Actually, I did it on the channel. I did it on the channel like ages ago. When I was having when I got my new stream set up in my new apartment, I was failing backwards, and I realized, oh crap, it's streaming off the wrong thing, and I fixed it.
Was it the Halo collection?
I played 2. Yeah, and then 2, I played the only person that had a house that had space big enough. LAN parties of parents who were willing to have a bunch of teenagers sitting in their house taking up space. Well, during the day, as soon as it hit 7 p.m., my dad's like, "Why TV now? Get out!" We'll watch sports and whatever else my dad watched. And then 3 came out, and it's like people are still playing it, but that's when I started we started drifting and graduating high school. Then people's interests started spreading out, so we didn't play Halo as much, which is a good thing.
Well, maybe or maybe not. It's always good to revisit and remember those old solid games. And again, I'm excited to experience them for the very first time. But now we have some controversy as Across the Spider-Verse, which we just reviewed here on the show, had a special episode just for that. If you haven't checked it out, it did release about a week and a half ago. But despite receiving critical acclaim for anyone that does care about critics and fan adoration for anyone that cares about what other people think, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse will not be screened in the United Arab Emirates due to failure to comply with that country's censorship guidelines. So while the specific reason for the ban remains unclear, sources suggest that the inclusion of a Protect Trans Lives banner in Gwen Stacy / Spider-Gwen's bedroom may have played a role. So that was something that was noticed by many people in the LGBTQ community, especially, and everyone on Twitter. And it, of course, brought up this theory that I think is false, and we discussed it already on the show and on Discord. Make sure to join our Discord to get more of that. But I think it made enough noise that even they noticed, and they're like, well, just in case she is trans, we're just going to straight up ban it.
I think it's like the thing they banned it because they just don't want any mention of it, period, I guess. I don't know. But the whole discourse says I get to put my 2 cents into this for because I saw all that. It's like, one, it's like, everybody, stop jumping down the clues just because she has a Protect Trans Life doesn't mean she considers herself trans or any kind of gender non-binary insert whatever thing you want to do with here. It's just, there's things called allies. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That thing that a lot of apparently the people in my community some people like to think is being lazy. It's it's not being lazy. It's called straight people can support other people. It's it'd be fucking, I don't know, it's me saying, me saying I don't know, fucking stop Asian hate. There we go. But if I had a stop Asian hate post on the back of my wall and everybody noticed it back there, it's does Julian consider himself Asian now?
Right.
It's no, I don't consider myself Asian.
He's a weeb, everyone. There's a difference.
Exactly. Freaking, I can have something that says I support this on the back on my wall. It means that they support it. It doesn't make it's just because someone has a thing that says they support cops doesn't they make them a police officer.
Right.
It does. It's come on, police officer. It's chill. There's only certain things that you could question about other things. I'm gonna get into that right now because I want to get political. But the biggest thing is everybody chill with the whole Gwen Stacy thing. You're jumping the gun. It's just because she dresses a certain way and looks a certain way doesn't mean that she is one. It's called a look, and she's also a punk rocker girl. There are straight versions of that, shockingly. But anyway, back onto the actual topic. Yeah, it's I'm not really surprised that they had censorship because the United Arab Emirates have a Conga line of censorships that they're not apparently I've heard about that is not allowed stuff. It's national flags apparently.
Oh yeah,
flags and religion and certain religious imagery have to be blurred out.
Well, I mean, looking back on
if there's across the background of something that gets blurred out or something. I've heard.
Well, I'm actually surprised that one, they didn't release if that poster was the issue, which is hard. I didn't notice it right away when I saw the film. It was only until someone pointed it out on Twitter that's like, oh yeah, that was in that scene. But they could have made a blurred version, like you were saying, where they blur out the religious imagery. But maybe that was Sony Pictures' decision. Maybe they decided to take a stance and not blur it out, because the PR fallout would have been worse than whatever they might have made at their box office. But I'm also thinking that if it's not that poster, have you seen Across the Spider-Verse yet?
I have not yet. Unfortunately, I've had a very busy couple weeks since it came out, so I haven't had a chance to say I'm going to go to the movies and sit down and watch movies.
Well, there's a character called Spider-Punk, and if it is one of these censorship lists that they have, this is a character that's pretty outspoken about going against various norms, going against it could be taken as going against organizations or organized society. And he has that message in there a few times there in the movie, which might be another thing that they frown upon. And he is pretty significant in that film. It'd be a little bit harder. You'd have to change his dialogue completely to censor him for that country. And I think that probably was also a contributing factor. But that's the only other thing that I can think of. Unless they're really against, I don't know if they have a thing against India. There is a segment in the movie that takes place in India, and that might be...
Not that I know of.
That might be a thing, but if it's not, then those are the only two things that come to mind as far as, the exact reasons on why they may have banned it.
Yeah, it has to be the fact that, it's like Translite poster there. It's like they're not gonna, and that's like that. And it's like it's like there's an editor, you can censor this, right? It's like, no, we're not censoring this. We're taking a stance on this one. And then they said, okay, we're not gonna show it in the country. It's like, okay, we'd rather do that than have the, like you said, have the controversy of actually them blurring it, and then suddenly someone finds out about it on the internet, spreads it like wildfire. It's like Sony censors themselves. Sony's pulling an Activision Blizzard about censoring themselves, like how Activision Blizzard doesn't talk about the homosexual characters in Overwatch and
Well, keeping it on Sony news, another hopefully hit for Sony Pictures is the trailer that just released, the R-rated Spider-Man spin-off of Kraven the Hunter.
There is an animal in each one of us.
Don't you want to know why they call me the Rhino?
This stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as the iconic Marvel villain. It's directed by J.C. Candor, and the film promises a grounded and realistic approach, which is definitely pretty much what I got from that trailer. It does showcase Kraven's hunting skills, a confrontation with the supervillain Rhino, and it is a part of the Sony Spider-Man universe, separate from the MCU, although there's been a little crossover there. It is set to hit theaters October 6th. Julian, as a Spider-Man fan, what were your thoughts on Kraven the Hunter's trailer?
Holy crap, I think he bit someone's eyeball out.
Yeah, his nose or eyeball or something.
He bit off something and it just spits it out. Fucking shit. It's I don't know, it was fucking Adam's apple. Who gives a shit? The trailer was pretty graphic. It's like, wow, I did not expect that. I was eating. The first time I saw that, I was like, well, I'm just gonna put this pizza down and wait until after this settles. And then seeing Kraven, it's like, when it shows, it's like, oh no, it's like it was sympathetic. It's like no, and that when I first saw the trailer, it's like, oh, they're trying to make it sympathetic. That's lame. And then it's like, oh wait, no, he's still an asshole. Okay, I get it. I see. I see. It's like because they have that weird Tom Holland look like kid in the who's supposed to be his younger brother who was abandoned by their father, I guess. Who his father kept him around, but I can't remember because his father's a dick, and it's like I recognize this man, and it drove me crazy, and I need to look it up later. But the father, it's like I recognize him.
Oh, that's Russell Crowe. He plays Jor-El in Man of Steel.
Yeah, that's
Gladiator, of course.
It's Russell Crowe. Oh dear, oh dear. And I'm Javert. sorry.
What was that? What was that film that he was in?
That's from Les Miserables.
That's right.
Yeah, from the freaking Les Mis movie. Oh my god. But yeah, Russell Crowe. It's like, Russell Crowe, you got fat. Russell Crowe, you just kind of, it's like, good for you, just letting just accepting the fact that you're an old man now. and just kind of like going with it. But he's like ruthless badass in that trailer. It's like, he's dead. Let him leave. And then fucking lion mauls a kid. And we always suspected that Kraven was like, I can't remember his exact origins. I thought he was just a man who just grew up in the wilds and fucking like, it's the thing. I didn't think it was like lion blood infusions.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. I think he was a poacher in the comic books, and that was one of the controversial things with this film, where it came out that he wasn't going to be a hunter, but that he instead was going to hunt humans. And a lot of fans of the Kraven character were like, well, that's the whole thing with Kraven the Hunter, is he poaches animals, and now he's poaching the Spider-Man. He can go after humans as well. But in this movie, he came from animals in a way. He gets his power from them, uses them in the movie, and instead goes after, what do they call it? The world's most dangerous game, or whatever they call it, where man might be the most dangerous game. So I think it's a cool flip, and I think they actually pulled it off.
I think it's good because it's like, it's not just him like fucking stealing random animals from zoos and using to hunt them or something, and then Spider-Man comes in and fucking stops him, and it's like, no, it's more of like the more recent things I've heard about him. It's like where he hunts like Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's the sport now. It's like part of what they're coming out with the new Spider-Man game. It's like he's hunting he's supposed to be hunting the lizard in it, because it's like the lizard and Spider-Man and all these other superheroes and fucking all these other people in New York, where it's like he's hunting something more dangerous, because it's like, because animals are, he's hunted all the animals. He's hunted a ton of predator animals. It's like, why don't I hunt these fighter dudes and Silver Sable or whatever the fuck who else they showed in that stupid trailer. I say stupid, but I enjoyed it. Anyway, focus. The Kraven the Hunter. It's like the fact it's like just killing indiscriminately, murdering dudes. It's like clearly he's enjoying what he's doing. I, for one, am going to see if I see this movie, I'm going to make sure, one, not to bring anything to eat, because I can eat around some gory scenes, but we're biting dudes' faces off, biting parts of dudes' faces. I'm good. I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there before you ask me.
That was my next question.
Is he attractive?
Would you?
I'm gonna give him about a 6 or a 7.
But he's a bad guy too.
He's a bad guy. It's the reason why he has some attractiveness. But I'm gonna be honest. He's a little he's a little too unhinged. It's like if you're gonna be violent, you kind of have to be like Supernatural, go all out for me, like Venom. Like just straight up eats people. Or you got to be some mega maniacal mastermind who essentially it's like, I'm just a trophy. I'm just here as a trophy wife. I get it. Okay. Well, I get it. And you do all the thinking in the relationship. Okay.
Is there a potential for this Rhino? You get a glimpse at his hands transforming. I mean, is there potential there for him to be more attractive to you than Kraven?
No. I have never found any of the rhinos attractive. I'm gonna be honest, not a single one. It's like, because it's just like, well, it used to be like it's just a big dude in a suit, or it's like some dude with like freaking rhino blood in him, and then he freaking has this, and then they like put the suit on it. They put him in a suit, and they put him in like the suit. I don't fucking know. The rhino's weird. No, I've never really had any attraction to the rhino. It's not that I found him ugly. It's just that like nothing's there. Maybe they'll have something, since it's a movie character, and there's like, and maybe they can actually do something interesting with the suit, because at least Sony Productions, unlike a certain other studio who's been faltering for years now with their CGI, can actually make something better.
I definitely have faith in this. As I've said before, Sony has more, I will say it every week, man. Sony has more hits than they have misses, and I have a lot of confidence in Kraven the Hunter. Again, if you had told me 10 years ago, Daniel, you're going to be more excited for a Kraven the Hunter film than you will be over a Batman film, I would have said you were absolutely insane. But we're in 2023, and here we absolutely are. I'm going to be there opening weekend for Kraven the Hunter.
That's funny. Literally thinking about that, it's like, if I told you that, you would have been like, what's wrong with you? Just swing at me. Just swing at me. And then years later, just look, and it's like, oh. And then I'm just going to wait for that on-air apology in front of your adoring audience that I was.
That's right. Well, let's head on over from Sony to Warner Brothers Discovery, as in an interview with IO9, director Andy Muschietti addressed criticism of The Flash's visual effects. Even you've seen a lot of the memes that have come out of this movie, explaining he explained that the distorted and unusual look was intentional, designed to reflect the perspective of Barry Allen. And I've seen fans on these real DC fans on Facebook say, look, the CGI is supposed to be bad. Andy said it was on purpose. And it's like, okay, when did the excuses stop? Because at first it was, well, it's the first trailer. I mean, there's plenty of time to polish it. Oh, well, it's still got about a month left. They're going to fix it. It's not going to look like that. It's just a trailer. Now that the movie's out, doesn't look any better. They're like, well, it was all on purpose. Those bugs are a feature.
Bugs are no. This is like
Tommy Wiseau.
This is like Tommy Wiseau going back and saying, "Oh, I'm in on the joke for how bad his movie was." When at first he wasn't trying to make a bad movie; he thought he was making something great.
That's right.
And now suddenly, after years of people mocking him for it, it's like, "Oh, I'm in on the joke." Oh, hi, Mark. I love it. That was funny. It's like, no. Everybody from who was part of that, you were serious about making a movie. So don't even try to fucking jump back on it now. This is what that is. It's like, it's like freaking, if it was only blur effects every time he was running, it would make sense. But if it's constant, but no, it's not, unless it's like a first person movie, like that one fucking movie that I can't remember. It's like, essentially it's like the Bionic Man, but essentially like fucking you can see through his eyes and shit. I can't remember what it was called. But unless it's a movie like that where we're seeing everything through his eyes, it makes no sense.
Yeah, and this one, they ended up using this weird, from what I've seen on the trailers and what people pointing out, it uses this fisheye lens that you normally see skateboarders use, and in the 90s. And they used it for this entire film, it seems like, or at least certain sequences. And that's why even when they're not using CG, Michael Keaton looks really weird with his arms and his legs. Like he looks like a weird disproportionate toy. I mean, this is why a lot of it looks like AI generated graphics, and there were some in there. I mean, there's a lot of that in this film that I know that once we're a few months down the line, if not sooner, they're going to come out and say, this was the first film ever with AI generated. They're going to try to say something like that to try to spin it. But if they did use it, I mean, it just goes to show how early and terrible the technology is, or just how little they cared about it. There's even a scene in there where they have a Jay Garrick, and I saw it on Twitter, and they ended up using the Jay Garrick from the CW. The problem is, in the CW's Flash show, that Jay Garrick ends up being revealed to be one of the evil Flashes. So what people suspect happened is they AI generated Jay Garrick. They typed in Jay Garrick Flash because that's the first Jay Garrick that shows up on Google. It's the evil one. And they went, yeah, that one. And they used it in the movie, not knowing that. It's like, wait a second, and now the actors on Twitter are like, yeah, that looks a lot like me, but I didn't sign off on my likeness.
Yeah, it's like the whole fisheye lens thing. It's like this is a high budget movie, not me going on Big Thunder Mountain and using a freaking like capture cam and using like a GoPro. That's not how you do this. Even the movie I was just talking about, which I still can't remember the name, it's like it didn't look bad for something in someone else's point of view. It's like, yes, it was someone's point of view, but it still had good camera work. Other than the camera work was still decent. You can't just this is copium. It's like the people who are defending this, it's copium. They're coping. They're coping because they know that this is bad and they're just ignoring it. This is worse than this is worse than the person I took to see freaking Spider-Man No Way Home on a date with. Far Home on a date with. It's like, he clearly didn't like the movie because he didn't really say anything much about it. He's just like, I liked it. It's like, what else did you like about it? I liked it. It's like It's like, you're coping now. It's like, this movie was bad. It was bad. And you know it's bad. Well, it's a good thing I'm never going to see this movie.
Well, and as people are pointing out, Andy Muschietti is now signed on to do that Batman Brave and the Bold film that they announced with starring Damian Wayne. So it just goes to show you, the more you fail at Warner Brothers Discovery, the more stuff you get. Whereas the more successful you are, the less you get. Zack Snyder has still topped out with some of the highest grossing DC films, and nothing. They're like, yeah, we don't like money. It's
Warner
pretty
Brothers
amazing.
Discovery. We don't like money.
They hate it. And well, we're going to go into how much they hate money, because The Flash, let's see how well they did. Did the fans show up? It had a disappointing opening weekend, earning only $55.1 million over 3 days. That is well below its projected earnings of the already low 70 to 75 million. In comparison, Julian, Black Adam's debut surpassed The Flash, which in itself collected a disappointing 67 million in its first 3 days.
And Black Adam was awful. I finally seen that movie.
I'm sure it was.
That movie. It's like, oh right, this is why everybody memed it. It deserved all the weird rock zoomed in face memes, because this movie was bad. It was so boring.
And I was telling you before we recorded, because someone pointed it out on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. Because they were adjusting for inflation previous DC films. And they're like, look, if you adjust for inflation, BVS, it hit over $1 billion. And someone's like, well, you can take it a step further. Green Lantern earned more than The Flash. I'm like, are you fucking serious? So I plugged it into one of the government's inflation calculators. And sure enough, it did like 70 something million. And over The Flash's 55. And I'm like, wow, there were more people bought tickets to The Flash to Green Lantern than they did The Flash. And Green Lantern's considered a giant joke today, to the point where it's even a joke in a Deadpool film.
Yes. I want someone do me a favor. One of the viewers, do me a favor and put it like in a comment or something on one of these things, or in freaking or put it in Daniel's Discord or his what's that called? Twitter. There we go. That's the word. I want to see somebody take and see how much Blade Trinity made compared to The Flash, because Blade Trinity is like one of my top. I like this movie regardless how horrible it is kind of movies, because it's like, yeah, this movie's pretty dumb, but why did I like this? I don't know. I cannot begin to describe why I enjoyed that movie. But I want to see how badly it did compared to one of my horrible choices in a superhero movie. Or actually, you know what? Also put it to the other one, Ghost Rider. The first one, not the second one. We don't talk about the second one. Put it up to the first Ghost Rider movie. Because the first Ghost Rider movie, I enjoyed that.
Me too.
For just how ridiculous it was funny, and then it was funny, but not an intentionally funny way.
Right.
But then, like, I also enjoyed the fact that they did do the fire thing like spot on, and then they fucked it up in the sequel. But like I said, we don't talk about the sequel.
And this is not a good start for James Gunn's run of DC films, because as much as people like to pretend like, well, James Gunn had nothing to do with this. If you look at his tweet, you can point to, he is the source. James Gunn himself said, someone tweeted before the film came out, they're like, guys, these next 5 films have nothing to do with James Gunn. And James Gunn tweeted back to them and said, wow, I wish someone had told me that before I started giving them notes. And it's like, yeah, he had an influence over these films, over The Flash, Blue Beetle, Blind Adam, and everything moving forward. It's all going to be a James Gunn influenced universe. So this is just a hint of what's to come. And, as someone said on Twitter perfectly, if they think that it's bad now, wait until that first Superman Legacy trailer releases, because not only will it look awful, but the people that are anti-gun like myself are going to come out in full force, just like we did to boycott The Flash. And that's going to be the same. We're voting with our dollar. It's simple economics, man.
I don't know. I never talked to you about this. Talk to someone else about it. I talked to another DC fan about this. But I think that there is a Kevin Feige and James Gunn are secretly colluding this whole downfall to make sure that there is no way that DC anything actually gets any money. It's any kind of like headway, and somehow like there's someone within like Warner Brothers higher up echelon of stockholders that is also like secretly holding stock in fucking Disney, because that's the only explanation I can think of that they would want to just run themselves around this. with each and every movie just making less.
Well, it's funny that you say that because the rumor is that David Zaslav wants to sell Warner Brothers Discovery to Comcast, to Universal. And if he does, if he sells it for a cheaper price, then maybe he's getting some kind of back end cut to getting it for cheaper, which is that's a rumor. We know that he intends to sell it to Comcast. He said in 10 years, but I think it's going to be sooner, and I think it's going to be for a lot cheaper than Universal expected.
If Universal does if they end up selling this to Universal, does that mean that we're going to get freaking the Fast and Furious movies along with the Batman? It's like, I protect my family. And Batman's like, I love my family. And then they just, do that one thing from that one hand clasp thing from the Predator. And then I sit in the theater and I say, you know what? I'm okay with this. I'm not okay with this.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I hope the Fast and Furious franchise continues on to that point, because I know we're getting Fast and Furious films at least for the next, I want to say 5 years. There's
Until Vin Diesel dies, I think this movie franchise is going to keep.
And I'm fine with that. I'll be there opening weekend, just like I was with the last one. So there is a chance that might happen, man. That crossover may happen. I want to see it first with Jurassic Park, but eventually, sure, if Universal buys it up, let's get a non-James Gunn DC universe to cross over into the Fast and Furious.
Superman comes in and saves everybody from the Adonis Rex.
Might happen.
Just comes in and punches it, and it's like, whoa, what?
And I did touch on it a little bit as, yes, Andy Muschietti is confirmed to now be helming the Batman, the Brave and the Bold film. So good luck, Andy. And that's not going to be a good one. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be something that, based on how he handled supposedly this Michael Keaton Batman, it's not a good sign at all. So it's just terrible. I think they should have not signed them on for any more films, especially after The Flash. And I've seen all the excuses for it. I've seen people saying that people don't go to theaters anymore. I've seen them blame Zack Snyder. I've seen them blame the boycott. I've seen them blame the fact that, they blame COVID. Like every excuse. They blame Ezra Miller.
Everybody blames COVID.
Yeah.
If COVID was 3 years ago, everybody, it's time to move on. COVID's not affecting people anymore, not affecting people going out anymore, clearly.
And I was telling Maceo, if I had a bingo card, it would have been filled up twice by now with the excuses for The Flash. It's just amazing to me how the reach that these people, and some are pretending that these are great earnings. Like, but worldwide, it's at 130 million. And I'm like, it's at 130 million worldwide? Holy shit, it's an even bigger flop than I expected.
Once again, Fast and Furious movies worldwide made way more than that.
Yeah, it sounds like supposedly the estimate is that it's going to bring in a total of 350 million worldwide, which would lose Warner Brothers Discovery $300 million on The Flash.
Once again, another movie where they would have just saved more money not making it. I don't know, putting it into another DC animated movie, because that would have been
tax write-off. Should have happened. Oh well, this is what they get. They fucked around and found out, just as they were saying on Twitter. This last news story we have is actually going to be an animated project, which I know I'm excited for, even though it is on Big Bad Amazon. Described as fulfilling Bruce Timm's original ambitions for Batman the Animated Series, Batman Caped Crusader, along with other upcoming projects, were showcased at the Annecy International Animation Festival. So this new series aims for a mature audience, allowing Bruce Timm to fully realize his vision for Batman. And Peter Giraldi, who's part of the Warner Brothers Animation, Cartoon Network Studios, and Hanna-Barbera Studios Europe development trio, said, quote, "It's everything that Bruce Timm wanted to do in the original series, 1992's Batman the Animated Series, but because it ran on a kids channel, he wasn't able to do it. So this definitely skews older. It's more of his complete vision," end quote. So if anyone knows Bruce Timm's work, this is going to have very sexy damsels in distress, torn up dresses.
It's like children just ran on. He wasn't able to do things. So Catwoman's going to wear less and still have skin tight suits. Okay, cool. Right. I'm on board with this. Let's just go. Why don't we go full on Batman, freaking Batman and Robin, and give them bat ass, and give Batman bat ass, a moldable bat ass into the suit. Yep, let's just go ahead and do that. And what else?
So
It's
these
like
are your
how it
wishes
works,
rather
so to
than
speak.
Bruce Timm's now.
They like, who knows? Bruce Timm might have wanted this. You don't know that. You don't know. You don't know that. It also could, have I don't know, actual guns that shoot bullets instead of lasers.
You sneak in and you infiltrate, and you're like, Bruce Timm wants these new Batman designs. That doesn't look like something Bruce Timm. Look, are you questioning Bruce Timm? I'm his new assistant, and what's your name? Give me your name.
What's your name? Who are you? Gaslight. Just completely gaslight them. It's like, okay. And then to the point where I go back to him and I just keep, I just keep giving him drinks and giving him suggestions. And it's like, here you go. Here's this. It's like, you should put this in there. You should do that. Do that. I need to get on this. Why have I not done this already? I need to go to Hollywood and start becoming a secret secretary to get things that I want made.
You should. I would definitely not fight you on that one.
I actually get a good fucking Spider-Man movie out of Marvel for once.
Yes,
Ugh.
absolutely. Yeah, it's Sony doing the heavy lifting. That's the problem.
Sony's doing all the heavy lifting. It's like why did we give it away in the first? It's like, this is why we have half the rights. Like they're keeping half of the Spider-Man stuff from you people because you keep fucking it up to the point where you've given up now. When's the next Spider-Man movie? There isn't. It's not on the stinking docket. And if it is, it's after they're gonna see after the stupid Secret War thing. It's like, what are you gonna do with it when half of your franchise is broken up between movies and TV shows and stupid shorts on a service that half of the people don't barely even watch? Because you know what I watch on Disney Plus? I don't watch Marvel. I watch Bluey.
My son likes Bluey. I didn't know that was on Disney Plus. I'll have to let him know.
Yeah, Bluey's on Disney Plus. It's like, wow, Disney Plus, good job for you. You got the best Australian children's show ever, and you censored part of it, but whatever.
Oh, really? What part?
They took out like certain scenes and episodes. Like there's a whole episode literally about like, not an episode. There's like a scene in like one of them where they talk about like essentially like a vasectomy, and they cut that out.
Oh shit!
And then there's like a whole episode where it's like where there's like an implied like mention of a miscarriage or something. It's like, It's because the show, even though it's for children, there's stuff that goes over children's heads, and then there's stuff where there's like jokes and things mentioned in it where the adults who are like in the background will just turn their head and like, oh my gosh, they actually made something, and they talked about it in an adult way that's not like pandering. Like, oh, look at this adult, haha, nudge, nudge. It's like, no. It's like, it's just off. It's like children are playing, and the children who come towards the adults are having adult conversations. It makes sense. It's like, just because, you could, it's like you could be talking about something like that to a friend, and when Leo walks up and it's like, Dad, I want an ice cream pop. Like, come on. It's like, stop censoring real life television, American television. Things happen. People talk about sex and such, blah.
Since we're a little lighter on news, I did want to ask you, this was kind of a pretty big topic on Discord. I didn't get your take on it, but the One Piece Netflix adaptation, they did release the character posters, they released the trailer, which I did see, and now people on Twitter are doing side-by-side comparisons of like Shell's Town in the cartoon compared to the live action, the Fuchsia Village comparison, the Barati, and it seems like it's so far fairly close to what they did in the cartoon. And first off, did you see the One Piece trailer? And if so, what'd you think of it? And if not, what do you think about the images so far?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've not seen the full trailer of it. Most likely, I'm going to be getting some LGG opinions of it later on. At some point, I was gonna bring it up during the stream this week and say, hey, what did you guys think of this? Because, well, I'm not gonna get Scott to pick because it's on Netflix and he's already deemed it as dead. So, because anything on Netflix is dead to him.
Yep.
But Jacques will give me an idea. But seeing from what I've seen, it looks interesting. It's looked, because the pictures of the side-by-side comparisons, at first I thought, oh, here comes people freaking being like, it's not good enough. It's like, oh wait, no, they're actually like praising some of it. There are the fans that are saying it's a Western studio making a Japanese art anime. They're gonna fuck it up. It's like, well, yeah, they're gonna change something. It's like they're gonna change some things. To be honest, I'm waiting for something, and I need to see the trailer in motion to see if they actually do. The one thing I was worried about was how hideous is the CGI for Luffy's arm stretchy body moments going to be, and also some of the crazy anime nonsense. Like, Usopp's nose. Are they
Yeah,
going
that'll be
to
weird.
keep it? Are they going to keep it the weird Pinocchio twig it is, or are they gonna actually like do something? Are they gonna actually like just get some random big nose person or a person with a prosthetic on, with a randomly slightly big nose prosthetic on them? Also, just as a thing for some people, it's like, is Nami gonna wear skimpy clothing from the get go, or is it gonna just slowly go from the shirt to less modest clothing like it does in the series?
Well, this is 2023, Julian. I don't think we're going to get that at all.
Yeah, because the tits in that are ridiculously sized anyway. So it's like someone tell Oda to calm down, and no one's gonna, you're not gonna get that in an American show. It's like if they show tits, it's like, oh no, fucking call the media.
Well, I did like what Millennial Mike, who's another host on here, and next time I have him on, maybe I'll bring it up. But he brought up this notion that if they don't use up enough of a budget towards it, then it starts to look cheap. It starts to look like a quote unquote Netflix project, something like, I guess, Cowboy Bebop. But in this case, or in the case of something like Alita Battle Angel or Speed Racer, where they did dump a shit ton of money on that anime adaptation, the audience wasn't there for it. Now, either those films were too early for its time, and the anime audience here in the US hadn't yet been willing to give a live action adaptation a shot, or as he was kind of hinting at, they're never going to support a project like that. No matter how good it looks, there's always going to be an audience, maybe like Scott, or maybe the general audience that just isn't caught on to whatever that project is. They won't come out to it. And so it's kind of like a dead on arrival project regardless. You can make a nicely adapted, high budget film, but you'll lose your ass on it. Or you do something lower budget and then pray and hope that there's an audience for it on a streaming service. I personally think it's a little too early still. I do think anime adaptations in live action have the potential in the next decade to be huge blockbusters. And I think it has to start first with more anime cartoon movies put up on the big screen before they move into live action. But I definitely think that as long as they adapt it like they did comic books, where it catches the general audience. It doesn't have to be exactly like the book, where people are even surprised that it's based on a book. I think that might be the way to capture the general audience. But what do you think? Is it kind of a failed attempt at this point? Is it even worth doing?
Well, the thing about these anime movies, like some of these anime movies, they pick up, like Alita Battle Angel. It was just the fact of that movie not doing so well is because essentially Alita Battle Angel had completely fallen out of, unless you were like an old taku, like someone like near my age or your age, who like has seen like maybe it appear on something on like Sci-Fi Channel or something. It's gonna go over their heads. Yeah. It's gonna go over a lot of like general audiences' heads, and then they see a lot of general audience are gonna see like the big anime CG girl eyes are gonna be like, I don't want to look at this. I don't look at this. But that movie deserved a lot more accolades than it got, because it was really good, and all the anime fans who were ignoring it, it's like you should really have gone and see that. But no, they're gonna sit here and go talk about the Ghost of the Shell movie, which Ghost of the Shell is a lot more recent because Adult Swim showed it to no end. So a lot more people remembered that, and then the thing with the Cowboy Bebop Netflix show, it's like they didn't put enough budget into these things, and so into these movies, so they flopped. And then also, and it's the same thing with like the Death Note and the Fullmetal Alchemist ones. It's like live action movies. It's like they didn't put any budget into. You don't put budget into these anime type movies, they falter. But people are worried to put budget into it because they know that a lot of anime fans aren't willing to watch it. It's kind of it's a snake eating its own tail in the situation kind of moment, where it's like the anime fans aren't going to see it because it's not anime enough, but the general audience is going to see it if it's too anime. It's like, but then the general audience is changing to the point where where our age is the general audience. People our age, general audience, who have been exposed to anime and are willing to watch these things. Except you got to make a bomb ass trailer that looks good first and gets people invested, and then hopefully that will break the stigma of this is an anime movie that I shouldn't see, because they can't keep up with the anime. It could never be the same as the anime. Also, everybody needs to break the whole thing of this is an adaptation. Comic book fans have understood this for years and are saying, okay, how are they adapting this the comic character and the scenarios, and how are they going to make it into a movie?
Right.
And it worked out because, also because comic books aren't animated a lot. So it's like half of the animation is done to still images. So any actual motion is going to be different, unlike anime where it's already in motion with certain things. And people, like a lot of fucking weebs, just are closed-minded, super closed-minded.
Oh,
They
yeah.
need to fucking get out of their own asses. Get our own asses. It's like I've told Scott this before. It's like, stop being so mad about. So it's like, get over. It's like Netflix isn't fucking. It's like, it's not going to kill you. You can, it's like if you can at least like torrent it if you don't care about it so bad. Because you're missing out on something good just because Netflix plasters its name all over it doesn't mean it's actually owned by Netflix.
Well, I mean,
Netflix. It's still the actual animation. Netflix have the distributing rights in our country. It's like, because a good one of the examples is a series that Scott actually likes to read. It's like the 7 Deadly Sins. It's like, okay, 7 Deadly Sins is not technically Netflix. Netflix doesn't fucking give them all the money. It's still the actual animation studio out in Japan that gets the money. It's just Netflix is putting in the effort to make sure it gets dubbed and brought over to the States and other places and other Western audiences. But it's like but then the anime ended up being shit. So now it's like, he at least now he can buffer that excuse of the anime's garbage. But like beforehand, you didn't know that. It's until it comes out, you can't really say anything about it. Just because Netflix owns it doesn't mean it's automatically going to be shit.
Yeah, I mean, Scott's got some weird tastes, but I will at least commend him on his dedication to be anti-Netflix or anti-Jeff Keighley or anti-Summer Games Fest, because that's the kind of energy I have against the MCU. And
I don't know about
Disney.
the anti-Jeff Keighley thing anymore. It's like it's like he's, at least he stays his ground. I could literally count. I've lost count of how many times Jacques has flip-flopped on an issue without giving an explanation, without giving me an explanation that sounds decent. It's like with me, it's like, yeah, I watched it again. I changed my mind. It happens. I'm a human. I'm human. I don't have to sit here and justify it with some long-winded explanation, Jacques. It's like, I love being the middle ground of fucking lazy gaming guys, where one is on the extreme of the other. Jacques has to fucking go into fucking a video essay about why he changed his mind about one little tiny detail, while Scott is like a fucking wall, and anything that gets edited, and then literally like you can't even get like the sliver of an idea past him because it's so airtight. You have to like practically, it has to fall in front of him, and without you like kind of shouting it over the wall at him.
I've noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's me who's just like, hey, it's like, hey, guess what? I enjoyed I enjoyed a lot of the Marvel movies before fucking before Infinity War and Endgame. But then when afterwards it's like they suck, and I will admit they suck, and that it's awful, and that they're coasting off of their previous lightning, essentially, now that I'm actually paying attention to it, like fan status lightning in a bottle of nerddom becoming more mainstream. If it wasn't for the timing of it all, Marvel might not have actually, the Marvel Studios might not have made that money, and then if they didn't have the mega corporation of Disney bolstering them even more, it might not have actually been able to get as far as it has.
I agree 100%.
Because I remember back a Marvel Studios that was kind of floundering and had to literally let Capcom put whoever they wanted in the Marvel's Capcom 2. But then when 3 came out and they actually had, a
little bit of clout,
some clout, they're like, no, we don't want to put this person in there. We don't want to put any X-Men character in it. And then Capcom saying, they're like, you have to put Wolverine in it. He's essential. And they're like, fine. We'll let you do whatever. But then when Marvel's Capcom Infinite came out, Marvel's way bigger than Capcom now. And so to the point where they wouldn't even they were like meticulously going down to each and every detail about every Marvel character, about like, they were like super stingent on how Doctor Strange's finger movements looked in fucking fights. It's like, no one's gonna care because no one's gonna see that shit, because it's a fighting game. Most of the time, the crazy particle effects and the beatdowns are going to be blocking all the crazy finger movements that I'm not going to be able to tell that he fucking moved a digit of his pinky to summon whatever stupid laser beam he shoots out of his hand.
Yeah, well, that's the problem now that they are a part of something like Disney. At that time, with that Marvel's Capcom game, it's all about brand protection. They needed to make sure that it fit the character models based on the actors, based on this. And they're doing the same thing with the comic books. It's no longer a artist top down, right? It's no longer that the artists are deciding and making these decisions, and then they're then adapting those artists' work, writers and artists, into live action or cartoons. Now it's mandated. Now it's something like Miss Marvel. Her new costume, they just killed her off, and now they brought her back in the comics, and her costume looks exactly like the MCU one from the Marvels movie. And it's like, well, there you go. That's why they did all that.
I fucking love it. It's the Michael Eisner it's the Michael Eisner bottom line brand name recognition. That's why all those directed video Disney movies couldn't fucking go outside of the norm of the character for the sequels. It's like we have to make you're gonna make a Pocahontas movie. Pocahontas have to go around singing shit and being against fucking being against cruelty to animals. But we can't have her. But she's in a Western setting, so we can't have her completely change, or people won't recognize the character. Or we're gonna make Beauty and the Beast, but we fucking have a story about after the happily ever after, because people aren't gonna recognize it because it's not the big giant angry fuzzy man that people want. No, we're gonna make movies about the big angry fuzzy man doing the thing that he did essentially doing the same thing he did in the movies, which is getting mad about stupid shit and then turning around and telling Belle that she's right. I'm sorry. It's like that's literally every single Beauty and the Beast sequel is essentially the Beast. Belle does something, the Beast is a dick, and Belle chastises him. He's a dick more, and then after fucking some magical thing happens, fucking it's like Beast goes, I'm sorry, and then she goes, oh Beast, and then ha ha ha, movie's over. It's like, oh goody, thank you, $40 VHS please. It's like no. Brand name recognition ruins properties in general. It's the issue of if you can't recognize if people don't recognize the character, they're not going to buy it. Which, yeah, I get it, but it's like we're not all pandering to 5-year-olds who suddenly, when Dora suddenly becomes a fucking a young teenage girl, suddenly everybody's like, who's this? Who's that? What happened to Dora? I don't understand. It's like, no, we don't have to. It's like people can change things about characters. Once again, as a Spider-Man fan, this is the biggest problem with Spider-Man for years, which is like a lot of people, it's like Marvel had, it's like they can keep making the editors kept making the writers go back to fucking making Peter Parker. He's sick. Okay, Peter Parker, he is sad and he can't, and everything, every time he gets a W, he gets 3 L's on top of that. Even the movies did it.
Yep.
The stupid movies did it. It's like fucking, he's Tony Stark's little fucking protege. Yeah, but Tony Stark doesn't let him use his shit. Okay, fine, whatever. Tony's not fucking here anymore. Okay, fucking Tony doesn't do anything anymore. Fucking, it's like Spider-Man. It's like, okay, he gets his own suit. Oh no, fucking everybody hates him now. Oh, cool. So everybody hates him. All right, he does whatever the fuck happens in the last movie, whatever last movie to bring back the good Spider-Man. And then after that, to fix the problem he started, guess what? You have to be forgotten by all of time. Sorry for spoiling the shit movie for people who actually care. Yeah, so now his girlfriend doesn't remember who he is. His best friend doesn't remember who he is. He's just alone now, 100%, because everybody just has to think Spider-Man's not Spider-Man unless he suffered.
Sure.
No, Spider-Man doesn't have to suffer. Everyone's like, no, Miles gets to be happy. Well, Peter has to suffer. Peter shouldn't have to suffer. Let Peter retire and fucking stop being Spider-Man for 5 minutes. That's what the fucking one in the Spider-Verse is like doing. It's like he has a baby. He's not fucking running around. He's not running around in the spider suit all the time. If he is, most likely he's doing it the school thing. He's doing it whatever that dimensional thing is. I don't know. I need to see the fucking movie. But hopefully they don't do the same thing and just make all the spider. It's like it's just going to be a whole dimension of sad fucking spider people just sitting around moping about how their Uncle Ben died. Who wants to see that? Who wants to see a bunch of Spider-Man be sad? Nobody. I'm sorry. a very passionate person. And then when brand name recognition and fucking status quo comes in, it ruins franchises and comic books and even anime and cartoons, and everything I love just gets ruined because people and their greed and their need to not change drives me insane.
No, I love it, man. You're a Spider-Man guy, and that's exactly what I'm looking to hear from you. Well, let's head into the Brokehead block, because that'll get us into the more personal side of the show and get you out of that spider's web for a little bit. So, Julian, what have you been up to since you were last on? What's been making you broke?
What's been making me broke besides, life in general? I am currently going through a bunch of my junk that I have in my house and my rooms, and going through and seeing what works still, what is worth actually keeping, and what's worth getting rid of. I found out that I have, and I'm not lying, 10 different GameCube controllers, and only 4 of them work. The other 6 don't work anymore, like at all. And one of them includes my Wavebird, which I'm very sad about.
Damn.
But I said there's 2 options here I can do with the Wavebird. I keep it as a sentimental thing and have it like in the background of something when I'm finish getting that freaking new bookshelf to put up for behind when I'm streaming, so I can have stuff like to have like a nice little stream set up for people to look at.
Yeah.
Stuff, or I just cut the loss as it is and throw the damn thing out and use something else, which is most likely going to end up happening because I've looked into this. The reason why it's broken is something that I cannot fix, and unless I give it to somebody who knows what they're doing, there's really no point in fixing it, since I have 2 wireless GameCube controllers for Smash Ultimate already that I barely use because I'm not having Smash Ultimate parties as much as I used to.
Well, now they sell these third-party Wavebirds that are pretty much just as good, which is nice about the current era of gaming that we're in, where a lot of people are able to produce in a pretty solid manner the controllers that we're used to, including GameCube.
Mm-hmm. So essentially, I'm just saying, okay, now I'll just keep these for nostalgic reasons. And the fucked up thing is, most of my official GameCube controllers are the ones that are broken, and then the other, it's like 3 of the 7 that 6 are official game controllers that are broken, have busted buttons, cords gnawed and torn. One of them just doesn't work, and then the other ones are all a bunch of these GameStop and EB Games controllers I owned. That literally, like, one of them still works, but it's mostly, I'm like, only reason I kept this most likely is because of the turbo button, and I would use it to freaking I used it so I could actually get through freaking Mario parties against computers faster, so I could actually unlock more shit back then. But now it's like, I don't have a use for this anymore. It's not like I have to go through that stuff again. I already beat them all. So I just said, if it doesn't work anymore, just get rid of it. And that's that is why I've like gone through half of my shirts. I have a bunch of clothes that I said, okay, this is way too small for me. Even if I did lose weight, it's still too small. So, because this is like a con shirt that I bought back in 2015 when I was like a small still. So I said, okay, get rid of it. It's like, I literally, like, one of the shirts, I said, I don't want to get rid of this. I don't want to get rid of the design because this is like a really nice design. It's an old shirt that I know from an artist that I still follow. So I said, okay. So I cut out the thing.
Yep.
And right now I cut out the design. Right now it's sitting folded up in a bag where it folded out like nicely in a Ziploc bag. And I already did the measurements to see if to put it into a frame. And that's what I said. I got to do a lot of that with a lot of this artwork I own. Like these regular posters of fucking regular video game posters, those can go. But the stuff that actually I like bought from actual artists, I'm willing to keep that and I want to preserve it. So I said, so I've been buying frames and things I even found a display case, which I told myself I can't afford a over $200 glass display case right now, because where am I going to put it? Let's get rid of stuff first and then worry about buying what I need later.
So are you going through all this stuff because you're getting ready to move, or you're just kind of doing some cleaning to make your room a little bit bigger?
I'm making space for me to live, because essentially I have a bunch of stuff I need to put away and I can't put it away because I don't have any things for it. I literally have a bunch of my nice hats kind of I forget that I have a bunch of like nerd hats that I own that I don't get to wear that I haven't worn, that just been sitting in a drawer. And also one of them is folded in on itself to the point where it's like I had to use my dad's old like hat, like this little hat caddy thing he had that would fix that problem. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm becoming my father to the point where I'm cluttering all this stuff that I complained about my parents doing this thing, and so now I'm doing it. So I told myself, okay, I need to get rid of some of this stuff. What I actually have thrown out a large amount of stuff. I apparently had a box of pencils, pens, and random freaking like office desk items that I apparently like. I've had this for over 10 years. This stuff is not usable anymore. This marker, dead, pen dead, dead marker. There's like rubber bands, freaking melted rubber bands in it. I said, just don't even look through it. Unless it's a big marker that I can use for my job, writing on paint cans, throw it out. And then like the only other things that I've kept in this weird cleaning frenzy is I have this box full of nothing but Christmas cards and birthday cards that I just said, I'm going to keep these just as, because there's like, I found one from one of my late great uncles in it. So I said, okay, I'm going to keep this sentimental. And then pretty much once I'm going to keep this in this nice box that keeps it safe and doesn't let it decay or anything. And then once, once I kick it, they can figure out what to do with it afterwards. I'm going to keep it.
Someone else's problem.
Yeah, once I'm gone, they can figure out if they want to get rid of this old card from when he was freaking 17 years old. They can figure out what they're doing. But that I'm fine with keeping. But a lot of this like a lot of technology, I said I can use this. You keep this. It's like I never use any. It sits out of sight, out of mind, and that's what it means. And I told myself, if it's not gonna sit on a desk or something I can display, I don't need to keep it. I have a freaking cable cord for one of those. And I found like the little box that I literally used to keep for my GameCube that had the little switch, the little freaking cable switch box for old video game systems. I said, why do I have this? I don't even own cable.
Yeah.
I have other means. Get rid of this. It's like, and then the only things I'm not going to get rid of is I have 2 GameCubes. One of them that's on its last limbs and another one that's dead. The one that's completely dead. The dead one, I told myself, if I'm most likely going to get rid of it because I don't need 2 silver GameCubes just sitting in my house dead. So if I can, most likely the one that's not even working and it's like busted, I'm just going to just throw it out. Fine, whatever, I don't care. But this other one, I'm just going to keep it as like, it's here, something to display. Because that's something I can display. It's nice. It still looks good. I kept it in good condition. But the one that I didn't, that's going in the trash. It's broken. It's garbage. It had there was something rattling in it, and then I shook it, and then a dead bug felt like a dead beetle or something.
Oh,
I said, okay, yeah, no, get rid of this. Get rid of it.
God, that reminds me of all the consoles like PlayStations and Xboxes that people used to bring into GameStop to trade in, and they'd be infested with like roaches, man. That was the worst. And I learned my lesson because before what you're supposed to do, like for the Xbox ones, for example, is take off the 360's faceplate and you see if the sticker has been tampered with, basically to see if it's been jailbroken, water damage as well. There's like an indicator in there. And one time I took off the faceplate and like fucking roaches like just scattered about. I was like, aha! It was
not
fucking disgusting. And so what I did moving forward is I would just open the little slot for the memory card and I would peek in there because that would tell me. And one time like a roach like immediately jumped out and I let go and it got trapped in the memory card door and the faceplate. And I was like, I was like, no, we can't take this. It's fucking infested. And it's just awful, man. Those little heat boxes, they like to lay their eggs in there. And I learned that fucking lesson working at GameStop.
No. All my old systems are sitting in boxes, in boxes that don't have any access to vermin. And I turn them on regularly to the point where if anything does get into it, it dies. Because the GameCube still turns on. So but it just doesn't it doesn't read this. The disc reader is kind of not this spinning thing didn't spin on that old one that I threw out. So I got rid of it. But the other it still works. I just can't play anything. I can't play Melee on it because it's too much. It has to be like some low grade game Actually, the only thing that thing's good for is technically the one I still kept is Game Boy Advance player still works. Still works good. It just and then some of my Game Boy Advance games, because I kept I kept them in a space where they don't air out. It's like I can't save the little memory chips on most of the Pokemon games, but the games that weren't Pokemon that didn't have a bunch of save files to begin with that I was worried about, some of them still work. The only one that doesn't is my copy of Sonic Adventure 2, but I already knew that one was on the way out because that one was barely working when I had it, when I was actually using it. Because it was a GameStop, you use GameStop one, and most likely some kid fucking dropped it in the water or some shit, because it would get to certain points and just glitch out.
Well, there you go. I'm glad you've gotten some cleaning done at home and made some space. I know I've done something very similar late last year, I want to say. I sold off about half of my comic book collection, and I'm about to sell a couple of bigger hits at my local comic shop. Just stuff that I got over the years, like signed, certified, graded stuff that I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna buy a car sometime next year because mine is going. It doesn't turn over as well. Sometimes I'm like, is it gonna turn on today? So I'm saving money and I'm putting it into stock and making money off of that, hopefully. And by next year, I won't have enough for a car, but it'll be a good down payment towards one. So that's something that comics are gonna help me do. And obviously, there's still some of the bigger hitters that I'm never gonna sell, like first appearance of Ra's al Ghul. Stuff that's near and dear to my heart, but stuff that I've gotten CGC signed from like Artgerm, like there's one of those that I'm letting go of. And so, yeah, I get it, man. It feels good to let go of some things, make some space, make a little bit of money, even if it's towards, you're going to lose it immediately towards a car or whatever, but towards necessities. On my end, the only stuff I had is at my current job, I did pass the 6-month review. So my probate is done and they are keeping me. Which I kept joking with my trainer. She's like, they're going to keep you. They're going to keep you. And I'm like, I don't know. You never know. And she's like, well, unless you do something crazy between now and next week. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm saying. Like anything can happen.
I'm just going to roam around the job naked today.
What if?
Like, what if I actually eat shrooms and I just decide, suddenly everything is just huddle in the corner and start rocking back and forth, just saying, just saying Zack Snyder over and over again. Who knows?
Man, you went deep cuts with that one. Really hurt me, that one.
it's like Snyderverse. It's like Snyderverse has always been around. It's never left. It's like nobody knows anything. Nobody knows they're talking. Stay away from me, Marvel. They're Marvel lover. It's like, what do you do? It's like, what are you doing? It's like it's just you just sitting there with a pen and just like.
That only hurts because there's a lot of truth to it.
Are you poking at Marvel over Marvel lovers with a stick?
So that's a good feeling, though, just knowing that they hung on to me and that I'm there. I'm hanging out. And I did see the Super Mario Brothers movie again. I bought it for Leo. It was at Target on sale for $25. So picked that up. And Kelly hadn't seen it yet, so we all had a little family movie night. And Kelly's like, yeah, it was okay. And I'm like, exactly. That's what I thought too. It's a kid's movie. There's a lot of Easter eggs for sure that she and I enjoyed. We're like, oh, that's a song from 64. That's the song from this. And, we kept pointing out little things like that, special effects or sound effects, little things in the background.
Yeah, it's all me and my roommate ever did the entire movie. It's like, oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice love letter to Mario, but as a film itself, I mean, it's a pretty standard kids movie. I'm glad it didn't have that part of the movie where like the failed imposter or whatever type of thing, like everyone's mad at Mario now and he has to win them back. Didn't have anything like that, which I liked. So I'm there for the second one. Leo liked it, and so we gave that another shot, and it was fun. I like having movie nights with Leo. He's starting to, ever since he had his little ear surgery, he can now hear movies a lot better, and he's enjoying, actually hearing what the characters are saying and understanding the movies. And that's great. It's a nice upgrade to, obviously for him, but also for me as a parent, like, okay, that feels good. Like,
yay. Now now you can teach him to be a proper cinephile. And it's like, okay, son, here's a movie from the 70s called The Godfather. Now there's going to be some scenes in it that you're not going to understand, and that's going to be fine. And that'll be fine. We'll talk. That's going to be fine. You can ask me about it and I'll tell you and we'll explain it in vapid details.
He's
Daddy, why is the horse head in that man's bed? Well, son, that's called an intimidation tactic.
He's already seen the Snyder Cut. He saw that like a year ago.
Well, see, you're already on your way to showing him showing him something crazy. You're going to show him in 2 years, he'll be watching the Joker.
Right. The Joker, Terminator 2, Aliens, the stuff I grew up on that I shouldn't have watched.
Oh, RoboCop.
RoboCop, yep.
Yeah, I saw freaking Terminator 2 when I was 5 or 6 years old. I shouldn't have seen that. Oh, that freaking movie did some. That movie did some damage.
Was it the scene where Arnold cuts off his arm and pulls off his skin?
That and the movie where and the part where Sarah Connor has that dream where she's in the park and then fucking and then fucking the nuclear bomb drops and her and the kid start melting and her screaming and then suddenly the explosion of her skin flying off and her skeleton still grabbing onto the thing. It's like, what the fuck? I still look at that and wince. And I was like, it's like I am fucking 25 years old. I'm fucking 30 something. Stop fucking wincing at that scene. I'm sitting there like with my eyes covering my face with my eyes slightly open. It's like, is it over yet? Nope, it's not over. It's still there. It's like, yay, still scarred.
Well, Julian, this has been a lot of fun. I'll have something to ask you after the post-credits jingle, but please let them know about Lazy Gaming Guys and where they can find you if they want to continue the conversation.
Yes, the Lazy Gaming Guys, the trio of myself, Scott, and Jack. We stream on youtube.com/@LazyGamingGuys every Wednesday. We also have a Twitter called @LazyGamingGuys on twitter.com, where we will usually post when we stream and randomly when I actually have some news or something interesting coming out, when something interesting comes out. And also I finally have some interesting news about the Gaming Guys to bring up on this on here. So this is technically, you're gonna be the first one to hear it outside of the group, but I have finally saved and freaking gotten the video that we made back in January together back into some kind of working order and viewing and something for Jacques to actually edit, and sent it to him. And as of yesterday, I was talking to him and he had edited down at least 20 minutes of it. So we're almost, so he told me hopefully by next week it should be done, but I don't believe him, but I will be optimistic anyway that it will be, hopefully we'll have something to give something to show for the show for our freaking anniversary this year. And then we can actually and then we're most likely, I've already planned it to do a proper, like, us talking about how we've done this for so long and actually looking at old videos and seeing how far we've come in audio and joke quality. Fun fact, we're less offensive, but somehow still horrible.
Does that include a 10-year new logo or anything like that? New 10-year refresh?
Well, we're all broke, so it's been difficult. So I've had to do it myself, and then I'm gonna have to. All I need to do is find someone who will do line work for cheap.
Well, you know our logo, right? The 10-year anniversary one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you over the guy's account, but he wasn't too pricey on Fiverr, considering you know how some of these guys can get. I'll send you the guy's link, and maybe take a look at some of his stuff, and might be able to provide you with line work. And if you need me to throw a background on it or any, I'm okay at Photoshop. So if you need anything on your end, I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah, that's what I've actually been learning working on Photoshop lately myself. So just in case if I can't find anybody I really like, I might end up actually Photoshopping something together myself.
Very good. And on your end, Brokettes, if you want to talk to Julian or join any of the other co-hosts, head on over to our Discord channel. It is on the description of today's episode. If you head on over to thereasonsimbroke.com as well, scroll all the way to the bottom, you will find the link to everywhere you can find this, including our Discord. We have a great collector's corner, which is a good spot to show off your latest comic books, trading cards, collectibles, whatever it may be. Sonic the Hedgehog Superstar Collector, Treasure Hunting Sonic, lurks on there, and he will post up his latest finds for Sonic as well. So that's once again on our Discord channel at thereasonsimbroke.com. Scroll all the way to the bottom. But otherwise, thank you for joining us once again this week. I've been Daniel, joined by Lazy Gaming Guys as Julian, and Brokehead Core. All will be well. So I need an update. Did you finally get to feast your eyes upon live action King Triton by watching The Little Mermaid?
Oh my god! I knew this was gonna happen. I had a feeling this was gonna. I had a feeling this was gonna be a freaking question. I have seen him. I've seen him through the power of bootlegs.
Oh, you watched the fucking movie?
A friend sent me a bootleg copy of the movie. I haven't seen it yet, in 100% in full, because fortunately, like he when he sent me the thing, some of the the videos, like when I finished towards the video, which you didn't hear me say that. When I finished the video, some of the videos started playing and it showed, and then I kind of like wasn't paying attention, and I was vegetating. I'm like, oh crap, I'm playing the movie. Stop playing the movie. Just freaking just get this onto the drive so I can take it to my parents. So I can take my parents' house, and on Sunday I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it with my sister, because this is actually, because bootleggers are no longer fucking just bullshit. It's not garbage anymore. They're actually pretty good quality. It's kind of crazy, because I'm kind of glad, because I really didn't want to pay movie theater money for this. And I think, but also I know if I don't force my sister to watch this movie in freaking a theater, they're never gonna sit and watch, because my family is very bad at sitting down and watching things every time, like, because everyone's like, okay, I need to get up and go to the bathroom. I need to go get a smoke. I need a smoke break. I'm gonna get a drink. I'm gonna freaking get some food. I want food. And then suddenly it's like, I'm gonna go out and get food. We don't have anything. You want anything? It's like, oh my God, we've been trying to watch this movie for 3 hours and we're still only we haven't even gotten to the hour mark yet. It's awful. It's like I have to force them to all sit down, watch a movie, because at least they're willing to sit longer and not up and move.
So King Triton, does he live up to it?
No, he doesn't live up to anything. There's nothing. Why? What is this obsession
So animated.
with?
Well, look, these were your words, Julian. I mean, this is you keep contradicting yourself in times. Like there was that one time when, like last year, when I wished you guys a happy Pride Month, I was like, Lazy Gaming Guys, my favorite gay streaming channel. And you're like, we're not a gay streaming channel. And I'm like, the majority of you guys are gay, are part of the community. And then, like, literally the week after that, you were talking about fisting some guy. And I'm like, how is he not on the stream? He was talking about fisting some dude. And now with King Triton, this was years ago, I want to say, where someone was asking you if you would do Prince Eric, and then you were on stream, you were like, no, if anything, I'm a King Triton guy. And that fucking cracked us all up. We thought it was the funniest thing. And so we're like, we didn't expect King Triton to be your type.
I am going to find out where this stream is, and I'm going to make sure it is unlisted, because I don't remember saying this. I'm not remember saying this. There's technically no one, because I don't like him like that. I really, in any way, shape, or form. But if I'm going to be honest, in the department of how, and not in looks of fucking how good they look, and just in general, like, I have to give it to this movie. They at least didn't make the characters look bad. The characters, none of the humanish characters, like the mermaids and the people, decent looking. You know, Flounder and Sebastian actually looking like realistic crabs and realistic fish is weird. It's
Yeah, I heard
weird.
that was
It's
weird.
very it's and then it's like it's the uncanny valley thing of the freaking Beauty and the Beast movie with them looking like realistic clocks and candles. It's kind of like please stop. I'm not comfortable. I don't like this, because the CGI is not that great.
But otherwise, you said the men and all that looked pretty accurate to
Yes, the mer people, the human people, all pretty accurate. Their hair moves up like it's supposed to. They somehow made the hair underwater movement not look
the
too
beard,
bad. Not look too bad. The beards, the aerial hair, it's all good. It's all good. Good for them. Nice black, cool, nice, wonderful, nice black people looks in underwater. Yay. But other than that, no other huge feelings in the slightest at all. At all. Whatever past Julian likes, Julian doesn't always have to like the same things. Please let it die. Find something else. Freaking, I've been going off about the Zangief since Street Fighter 6 has come out. Give me more stuff about him. Show me people that look like that. People don't look like that in real life. Something close. I don't know.